Welcome back everybody, and if you are new here, welcome to my channel. Today I am making a delicious lasagna, and here's how I do it. To start, I'm going to preheat a pot, and I'm going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Honestly, I didn't measure the olive oil, but if I had to guess, it's around 2 to 3 tablespoons. So once that's preheated, I'm going to add 1 small onion that I have diced. If you are not a fan of onion or you think it doesn't need this much onion, then definitely add what you like or take away. Okay, so I am going to saute my onions until they are softened, a bit translucent, and maybe even golden brown. By the way, I am working with a medium to medium high heat, because eventually once my onions are softened, I'm going to start browning and cooking out the meat that I'm using in this recipe. I'm using 1 pound of lean ground beef. This is a 93:7 meat to fat ratio. I'm also going to use 1 pound of mild Italian sausage. If you like things spicier, then go for a spicy Italian sausage, or you could just use 2 pounds of ground beef. All right into my pan with my sauteed onion. So now I'm going to start breaking this up and cooking it. But first, I am going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of cracked black pepper. I will also be using a combination of granulated garlic powder. Here I have a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes, a 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano, and 1 teaspoon of lightly dried parsley. A lot of these seasonings and spices are up to you. I'm also going to add 2 cloves of minced garlic, and now I'm going to give everything a good mix and start breaking apart this meat and cooking it. So now that my meat is completely cooked and browned, I wanted to show you that I removed and drained out any rendered fat from the meat. If you are using a high fat to meat ratio, then you'll definitely want to drain out any rendered fat from your meat. Okay, so now I'm going to add a 24-ounce jar of store-bought pasta sauce. You could use the homemade sauce or store-bought sauce of your choice. I find it very convenient to just use a store-bought jar. Now I'm going to give that a mix. And honestly, if you want this to be a saucier lasagna, then maybe add a jar and a half. I'll put those measurements and suggestions in the description below. I've also added 1 cup of water to my sauce because I am using a no-boil pasta or lasagna noodles in this recipe. So if you are using something that's already pre-cooked or you have to boil it, that might not be necessary. So now that my meat is combined well with the sauce, I am going to give it a stir and then cover it with a lid, lower the heat, and simmer it for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, my meat sauce is done. So what I'm going to do is just remove it from the heat and let it set covered until I'm ready to assemble my lasagna. Now I'm going to start working on my cheese mixture. Here I have a large bowl, and to that I'm adding 1 large egg. I'm going to give it a mix, and next I'm going to add a 15-ounce container of ricotta cheese. This is whole ricotta cheese. You could use the one of your choice. I'm going to start giving that a good mix. I'm also going to add 1 tablespoon of lightly dried parsley, or you could use 2 tablespoons of fresh. I'm also adding pepper to taste, and then I'm going to continue mixing that and combining it well. Now I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and I'm also going to add a 1/2 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese right into the mixture, and I'm just going to fold it in. So at this point, my cheese mixture is done, my meat sauce is done, so now it's time to assemble my lasagna. I want to show you, in this entire recipe, I'll be using 16 ounces of shredded mozzarella cheese, and I'm also using 3 ounces of Parmesan cheese, and I'm just going to combine the two. Now, with this amount of cheese, remember I did use a 1/4 cup of the Parmesan cheese and a 1/2 cup of this mozzarella cheese to go into the cheese mixture. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so now that this is mixed, I'm going to start assembling this lasagna. Now the pasta that I like to use to make things convenient is the no boiling required pasta, but if you don't like that, you can just pre-boil your lasagna noodles, or you can make your own fresh pasta. It's up to you, but this is what I'm doing today, and it's typically what I do most days. Okay, so I'm going to be using 9 of these. I'm not using the full 12-ounce box. I like to use 9 in this recipe, and again, this is a no boiling required. So now I'm just going to speed things up a bit and start assembling this easy lasagna. I wanted to mention that you'll notice that I'm placing the lasagna noodles with space in between them. If you are using the no boil lasagna noodles, you'll want to do that because they will expand as they cook. So that's the reason why I leave gaps between them. So now I'm going to cover this with aluminum foil, and I'm going to bake this in a preheated oven at 375 degrees, covered for 45 minutes. And after 45 minutes, I'm going to remove the aluminum foil and continue baking it for 15 minutes or until the cheese is bubbly and golden brown. So once you remove your lasagna from the oven, you'll want to allow it to rest for 20 to 25 minutes. This will definitely ensure that when you cut into it, that your slices don't slide or fall apart. So I have successfully served the first slice of lasagna, and take a look at this. Because I let it rest, you'll see it's set up quite nicely, and the cut is a very clean cut. Not that I'm knocking anyone's lasagna if they want to dive right into it. It's still good. Okay, so I definitely hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching.